Hey, what's up guys? Mr. Flores here, and this is going to be a quick little video that goes more intricately into slope and how it pertains to a graph. The last video was just slope in a nutshell. This is more of slope graphically, more in depth. So basically, we discovered in the last video that slope is just the change in y over the change in x. All right, and like we said, it's a linear equation means that it makes a line. And as long as the line is straight, okay, and it is linear, the slope doesn't change anywhere on the graph, okay? No matter where you pick the 2 points, they're going to give you the same slope, all right? So just to find the slope of this line, I'm going to have this point here and this point here, since they're both in line. And let's just count. So to get from here to here, because that's where this point falls in the x, we're going to go +1 in the x direction. So our change in x is +1. And then we're going to go up 2 in the y direction, okay, which gives us a slope of 2 over 1, or a +2. Now, I just said that no matter what 2 points you pick on a line, the slope will be the same between those 2 sets of points, because the slope on a line is constant. The slope's not changing, okay? Just where you are on the graph changes, but the slope stays the same. So if you don't believe me, I'll prove to you why I'm right. So let's say we have this point here, which is the red one, and then I'm going to pick this purple point here. All right. I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go from this point down to that point. So if you look here, we got to look at this little change right here. So to get to where we want to be on the x value, we're going to go -2. So this m is -2 because the change in x is -2. Now we're going to go down to here. So we went down 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's -4. All right. Now, some of you guys might say, hey, Mr. Flores, those are negative numbers. That's not 2 and 1. It's 4 and 2. But if we look, when we simplify, -4 divided by -2 is still a +2. All right. So, like I said, it doesn't matter what 2 points you pick on a line. As long as those 2 points are on the same line as any other 2 points on that line, the slope between the points is going to be the same because the slope of a line is constant. The slope does not change depending on where you are on the graph. Right? So that's the first thing I kind of want to go over. The second thing I want to go over is that this line from left to right goes up. Okay? Therefore, it's an increasing graph. Okay? It's increasing. If you notice, the slope is a positive number. So every increasing graph has positive slope. Okay, when we start graphing, when we do more graphing, next class or next lesson, I'm going to go more into this. But just know that the first type of slope you can have is a positive slope, and every line that's increasing, aka from left to right, it goes up, it has a positive slope. Right? That's the first type of slope. This next one is another type of slope. So this is another special type of line because if you notice, it just goes directly straight from left to right. Okay, it goes left to right. Okay, so if it goes straight from left to right, that means that it is a horizontal line. Some kids call it hot dog. I don't know why. Call it horizontal. That's what it's called. A horizontal line just goes left to right. Think of the horizon when you're looking out in the sunset. Okay, so the horizon is goes left to right. So, again, the slope, it's just the change in y over the change in x. And hopefully you guys can tell me what the relationship of all horizontal slopes have without me doing this example right now, just by knowing that change in y over the change in x is your slope. But I'll do the example just to be sure. So, to get from this point to this point, our change in x is going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, but our change in y, if you notice, we didn't go up, we didn't go down, so that changes 0. Therefore, anything divided by 0 divided by anything is just 0. All right. Just so we know, every horizontal line has a slope of 0. So horizontal lines have slope of 0. Every horizontal line has a slope of 0. Okay, and we proved it here because it's the horizontal line doesn't go up and down at all, so its change is 0. 0 divided by anything is just 0. Moving on. right, now if we know this is a vertical line, because it goes straight up and down, okay? Again, slope is change in y over change in x. Again, this, hopefully, just by looking at this, we know what the slope of every vertical line is going to be. But I'll just do an example of this one. I'll pick 2 points, all right? So, to get from this point to this point, we're going to go up 2. So the change in y is a 2. But we didn't go left at all. We didn't go right at all. So the change in x is 0. Well, we know we can't divide by 0. So the slope is actually undefined. All right? And as you can guess, any vertical line has a slope that is undefined because you do not change in the x direction at all. Vertical lines go straight up and down. They don't move left to right. Therefore, vertical lines have undefined slopes. All right, so that's the third type of slope. Lastly, we have a line that looks like this. All right, and we already have increasing lines always have a positive slope, aka from left to right they go up. Horizontal lines always have a slope of 0. Vertical lines always have undefined slopes. Hopefully, we can solve this one before it gets to us. But again, m is change y over change in x. All right. So let's look at this point, and let's look at this point. All right. And that's kind of dark, so I'll brighten up a little bit with some pink. Okay. So again, we got to look at it this way. So the change in y, aka this, is going to be a negative 3 because we go down 1, 2, 3. So our m is equal to negative 3 over, then the y value, or the x value, is just a change of 1. So negative 3 over 1 is equal to negative 3. Right? This, if you notice, is called a falling line because from left to right, well, I shouldn't say falling. Well, falling is, but the correct terminology I should use is decreasing. Okay? It's a decreasing line because from left to right, it's going down. And decreasing lines, if you notice, this slope was a negative 3. Decreasing lines always have negative slopes. All right? Just a quick recap. Increasing lines, aka from left to right, they go up, they increase, always have a positive slope. You find one that doesn't have a positive slope, come talk to me and I'll tell you that's not possible. Horizontal lines always have a slope of 0 because their change in y is 0 since horizontal never go up and down. Therefore, every horizontal line has a slope of 0. Again, you're not going to disprove that. A vertical line. Vertical line just goes straight up and down. Therefore, their change in x is 0, so therefore the slope is undefined. Vertical lines always have undefined slopes. Again, you're not going to fix that. That's just the thing. And then again, and lastly, a decreasing line goes from left to right. It falls down. Okay? It's decreasing, it's falling. Always have a negative slope. All right? So, that's never going to change. Again, you're not going to disprove that. Again, if we have a set of coordinate pairs, okay, let's say we don't have a graph. We're just given that these are our 2 points. Okay? Again, we have our slope, which is denoted as m, which is equal to change in y over change in x. Okay? And this is just how you find the slope between 2 points. It's the change in y over change in x. Okay? Or in a nutshell, which I already did this example, but we're going to actually just give you the formula for this one. It's y2 minus y1, the change in the y values, over x2 minus x1. Meaning this would be y2, this would be x2, this is y1, this is x1. All right, so for this possible scenario, the slope is negative 12 minus 7 over negative 3 minus 5, which gives us negative 19 over negative 8, which simplifies to 19 over 8. All right. Again, to find the slope between 2 points, you literally just take the y, the second y, subtract the first y, and divide it by the second x minus the first x. Okay. Now, the question kids always ask is, does it matter which coordinate is first, which coordinate is second? And the answer is technically no. Okay. As long as you do y2 and x2 coming from the same coordinate, you're fine. All right. And just to show you that it's true, let's just flip-flop it. Let's say that this is x2, y2, x1, y1, right? And if we're right, we'll get 19 over 8. So again, y2 is 7 minus y1, so 7 minus the negative 12. x2 is 5 minus x1 is negative 3. Super plus, and you get 19 over 8. Well, it's the same exact thing you got down here. So again, it doesn't matter which coordinate is y2 and x2 or y1, x1. Just make sure that the order stays the same, okay? So that's, again, a quick little video on more stuff about slope. And if you have any questions, let me know.